Welcome to this evening's LX Views. We'll be doing a walk down Elizabeth Street or Elizabeth Ave, which turns into Trade Street on the east side of uptown Charlotte, East End Charlotte, I call it. This was more a scouting walk than anything in particular, or at least that's what it turned into. I was hoping to capture the view of the skyline at sunset. As you can see here, though, this neighborhood, Elizabeth, particularly this street, they've dutifully maintained the tree canopy, which makes it very pleasant to walk on, but does block those skyline views. Also, you can see the sun setting, and I'm not sure that my camera would have actually well captured the skyline at night. We're in Elizabeth. Across the street are some sandwich shops and places to hang out. Elizabeth's a historic neighborhood, as I'd mentioned. The true treasure homes are actually across North 7th Street, on the other side of Independence Park. Really stunning stuff. Rivals Doc Brown's house in Back to the Future. On the left-hand side, you'll see an old home, an old stately Charlotte home. There's two of them up here in this part of town. But it overlooks a parking lot and mural, which is interesting. It's a cool mural, I thought. And this place here is called the Spokeasy. It's a bike repair shop. I have been here before to have repairs done to my bike on the fly, and also to purchase kit and accessories. I've yet to actually go to the bar. I need to make a point to do that sometime. Coming up, we're not going to see it. We're going to walk. I wanted to get a better view of the skyline and of uptown Charlotte, hoping to avoid the tree cover. And we can see a little bit of it there, but also wanted to document this parking lot across from the Aveda Institute. So this parking lot here, there was a recent rezoning failure or redevelopment failure at City Council that got blocked, which was highly unusual for Charlotte. Typically, everything gets approved, so I don't know what happened there. But these parking lots, which I think are used largely by Atrium staff or Novant staff, one of the healthcare complex staff. I don't know what their fate would have been. But were those parking lots to be replaced by density, it could definitely transform how this part of Elizabeth feels, particularly on the light rail. The question is, could the neighborhood handle it? I mean, you're looking at that old home there, that stately porch. I mean, look at that. A true piece of Charlotte history. And to have that surrounded by 21st century development likely would have led to an unpredictable outcome. But you can see there's still plenty of space over here. And it's interesting, so if you go back up the hill, this is a little tidbit. I think I've read in the history of Charlotte, if you go back up the hill to the top where the walk started, that's actually where the initial village of Charlotte, back when this was wilderness and backcountry, was founded. It wasn't a mile further west where uptown is now, for whatever reason. It's still good high ground, for sure. I mean, but I don't know why the development ended up clustering around Trade and Tryon, or maybe Moorhead and Tryon, but that's where it happened. It's probably closer to the gold mines. I think it predated the gold mines. And here we are coming through the Central Piedmont Community College campus, CPCC. That's a fun story. I don't know it very well, but after the middle of the 20th century, we'll just leave it at that. In the middle of the 20th century, the society made the decision that we needed to educate our people. So what was the old Charlotte Central High School, which is a fantastic location, and its location where it is, it's between West End, it's between East End Charlotte, so Elizabeth, Chantilly, to some degree Commonwealth, North End Charlotte, so the Mill District they're calling it. It's kind of Plaza and Noda, and West End Charlotte, so Wesley Heights, Ashley Heights, McCrory Heights, South Side Charlotte, South End Charlotte, Dilworth, some degree Sedgefield, Colonial Village, like all these. Myers Park, we've got Myers Park. Myers Park is definitely within this catchment area. McCrory Heights, Country Club Heights, even. Like, they all would have sent, I'm guessing, so that was all the old Charlotte City Township. And they all would have sent their kids to high school, at Central High School. And that's, I think, how things were until the 50s. So through the 30s, 40s, 50s, Charlotte was big enough that they'd had all these neighborhoods, but it was small enough so that it had a central high school, and it was here. But they decided to change the school system for some reason. When they did that, this became a community college, which I've seen it read that in Rolling Stone, I think it was the lead singer of Incubus was describing his community college experience in Southern California, and he called it high school with cigarettes, which is something that all these campuses are smoke free today, so it's not that, but here it is. I found myself passing through the PCC campus enough. It's part of our Charlotte culture here. I've been to athletic events at their fields. The Grady Cole Center is always hosting alternative sporting events. So there's so we're starting to see the skyline of uptown Charlotte now. And it's a nice location. This is I'm going to redo this walk. I'm absolutely going to redo this walk. I'm going to do it after sunset when the lights on the buildings are on, and I'm not taking Trade. I'm going to take East 4th. There's no tree cover there. It's a traffic sewer. It's going to be loud. Hopefully, because it's nighttime, it'll be a little bit quieter and a little quainter. I doubt we'll see anybody on the sidewalks. If we do, it will be a Dickensian lot. But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it after dark, and hopefully it will make for a nice screensaver for me to look at while I fold laundry and listen to music. Because Charlotte does have an impressive skyline from that perspective. I think at sunset, had I come in from West End, I could have gotten a much better view, but this was kind of like as a working parent, or as a stay-at-home parent of a very busy working parent, a former working parent, I understand the need for flexibility in my schedule so that my larger family unit can find success. And that required me to go out and do this film, very spur of the moment, this recording, very spur of the moment. I love that view. Look at that view on the left-hand side of the low-rises from the 70s. You can just kind of catch them. It's sleek, it's modern, it's hip. The only difference in the 70s, none of these parkways were, they didn't think to put in parks. And Charlotte's done a great job retrofitting these parks. These are the lungs of the city. They do a fantastic job offsetting the pollution created by 277. I wish they did a better job with the noise mitigation as well. But Charlotte's very lucky in that it's one of the few places that completed the 20th century dream of an inner beltway. But it's also very cursed because it's one of those places that completed the dream of 20th century dream of the inner beltway. And it's cool. So we're allowed to run on it once a year. There's the Around the Crown 5K, which I need to do. Way back when I had this car. It was not a Subaru. It was a 99 Mustang GT convertible, 5-speed. I called it El Pony Blanco, and I never used it. It was an ego car, but I was living in Uptown, and I'd need to turn it on once a week or so. to just make sure the engine stayed lubricated and all the systems work and stuff like that. So I would ride laps around 277 with my top down, and I'd blare. I was still listening to hip hop at the time, so like Migos. I used to listen to Migos, and gosh, there was that song. I got two phones. I got two phones. I don't know, all that stuff. It was silly. But now I'm old. I don't listen to hip hop. But here's an old house or building. I don't know what the story is here, but I figured I'd capture it. So we've crossed over 277. I think this is still Elizabeth Ave. We're coming up on McDowell Street, which I think would benefit from traffic calming, a redesign, maybe even the installation of like a bistro district. But that's my 2 cents. It's zoned for high density. It's an easy walk from some of those towers uptown. It's all downhill, which is nice. When you start out your night, you want to walk downhill. You walk downhill to the bistro, have dinner, take a walk back. You look up at the bright lights in the big city of Charlotte. You contemplate how lucky you are to live in this day and age. This position. I mean, if you want to seek true gratitude, you can install a bistro district on McDowell. Right now, it's just 4 lanes. It doesn't really go from anywhere to anywhere that I can think of. But the cool thing is, at the far southern end of it, there's a biotech, Wake Forest, innovation, research, medical research. Like, I'm thinking Longwood, Boston, Massachusetts type deal over there. Who knows? Anyway, what we're looking at is the jail. Sometimes you hear the dudes playing hoops in the middle of the day. I ride by on my bike. I just hope that everyone's getting the help they need. It can be a cool world. This is kind of the Civic Center. Trade Street isn't super nice in terms of the Civic Center views. I prefer to take East 4th. So basically, this East 4th walk's happening. One piece to note on this piece of footage, I manipulated the content to be under a half hour, and for me to do that, I had to speed up the walk from somewhere in the middle of the CPCC campus to Caldwell Street. I put it in the notes. I think it's between 1.1 and 1.3 times speeded up. So if you want to reproduce this or somehow use it, it's compressed, basically. So you'll need to slow it down, but hopefully the logical processing, digital or otherwise, exists for you to do that seamlessly. And I'm sure it will. And with low energy usage. I actually struggle with how to shoot this thing. I did it on 16 millimeter, so it gives it that fisheye feel, which is kind of good for an immersive experience, except I'm not watching it on an immersive device. I'm watching on a flat screen on like a 48-inch monitor television, 1080i. I shot it in 1080i. So I remember when 1080i came out. I remember reading in the Patriot Ledger the article stating that we're all switching over to from analog to digital television, and it was going to be awesome. Oh, there's an interesting obelisk, and there's the old city hall, I think. Maybe the old courthouse hall. But it was going to be awesome because we didn't have to worry about all of the artifacts that we used to get when we'd watch over-the-air television in the 20th century. And by and large, it's been an amazing success. And they said the 1080i would be so sharp, your eye would not be able to discern the difference. But now, 25 years into the 21st century, we're seeing the emergence of 4K, 8K, just incredible resolutions. And some of the So here across the street's the Charlotte Police Headquarters, I'm thinking. And now we're really starting to see the skyline of Uptown. We haven't crossed over Brevard yet. I might be walking at regular speed now, I don't recall. But here is the old Charlotte City Hall. At some point or another, I just need to go around the old Civic Center and just record the whole thing. It's pretty pleasant. It's probably got a good history. If I were really... Okay, so here we're seeing a fallen brotherhood of a police officer rescuing another police officer. We had a terrible incident in Charlotte very recently in Shannon Park. Some law enforcement officers were serving a warrant on an arms dealer. I don't know what the deal was, but it turned into a massacre of law enforcement professionals. It was terrible. It was a terrible tragedy. Folks who's just expecting their fathers just to go to work and process people through the system. Their daddies never came home that day, and that's a grievous tragedy. A grievous tragedy. I don't think I could possibly ever fully comprehend that. I'm just going to be silent now so we can contemplate. Pull out a little liquor. It's Tupac Shakur. Here we are. We're seeing on the upper left-hand side the Midnight Diner. The Midnight Diner, if you experienced Charlotte in the first decades of the 21st century, you'll remember it. It was in South End. It was by the Cabaret, and apparently another infamous motel, which I read about when they were tearing down the Cabaret. I only went there for breakfast, and I always enjoy it. I like a diner. I'm a Northeasterner. Diners are my barbecue, so I enjoyed going there. I've been to the new location. It's changed a little bit. I still go. I don't care. I'm going. I don't care. I'll eat. If the food's good, I'm showing up. That's me. I don't know what my coworkers thought of the whole thing, though. And we see on the right-hand side the Spectrum Center. That's where the large spectacles happen. Spectrum is a coaxial cable company. So they did network infrastructure in the second half of the 20th century. It was pretty good when it came out, too. It was pretty fantastic. It got us to Web 2.0. For a long time, it sustained Web 2.0. And it still could in many ways. But I'm not going to get into, like, communications infrastructure, in my opinion on it. It's an interesting time. I think if you watch this and you're interested in that, you know what the answer is, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And if you want to talk about it more, leave a comment, but I'm not going to just give it away for free. And we see on the left-hand side the bus shed. I've used the buses here. The buses are great. I wish they were electric. The bus shed smells like, I don't know if you've ever been to Paddington Station where they run the diesel locomotives. It's crazy in Europe. They'll run diesel locomotives indoors. It's nuts. But I guess it's an improvement over the steam they used to use inside. Oh my goodness. So that's where all of the buses throughout the city converge. The bus system it's a legacy bus system. It could be improved if the will was there. Will's not there. It's like some fights are worth picking. That to be said, like if the fight is we're going to change the maps a little bit and we're going to do so with community input, that could be a good exercise in engagement and less of a fight. So some savvy politician will come along at some point or another when the need truly exists to solve the problem. I'm hoping. I can say this, that gold line, so you can look at the train tracks in the street, there's the gold line. And it's named after the fact that there's gold in Charlotte under the downtown still. From what I understand, it's largely underneath Panther Stadium still. But I was reading, so we're gonna go past a really big building, the Taj Mahal. And I was reading in 89 when they were building it, 90, 91. It was an old like department store on the corner. It was prime, like small size city real estate back when this was more like a mall than an office tower park. And so they like, when they were digging the foundations, put in this giant building, they hit a gold vein. It was a small deposit. It wasn't economical, but those construction workers must have put a smile on their face. You know, there's gold there. Anyway, the old U.S. Mint is down the street, or the location for it. It's a courthouse and it was a post office now. And the Mint itself, that building has been moved 3 miles, 5K east. It's a museum. I've been there. It has a nice lawn. It's a cool place to hang out. It's got a good Mint stuff. But yeah, the corner of Trade and Tryon. This is the center of the city. It doesn't get any more central in this location. You might make the case that it's Sharon and Fairview, and I'll have to do a walk down there myself. The Sharon and Fairview parcel is definitely far more car-centric. I'm not going to feel comfortable walking around here, whereas Trade and Tryon, it feels a lot more human-sized, besides these just amazing monuments to trade and finance. But there's a great collection of historic Charlotte skyscrapers, and I could just do some content on the history of those. They all have a fun little story. There aren't so many of them that you can't, over the span of like 2 or 3 hours, give a good summation, but maybe it could be like a special series too, I don't know. There used to be a cool little like reflection feature there. Now it's being replaced with something, I don't know. The Taj Mahal. And then you can see there's like 4 statues. You can see 3 of the 4 statues. Not getting into it.
I will see you later. Nice talking to you. Bye.
In the bottom of this building here is where I would occasionally go to get a good torta sandwich, a torta milanesa. If you like a fried chicken sandwich and avocado, Reed's. They make a bunch of other good artisanal stuff too. It's got a fun story. It was originally some sort of provisioner. They were on Providence, from what I understand, out by where the Old Manor Theater is. I first encountered them in their storefront on Selwyn, and they had a wine bar. They played disco. They definitely catered to like older boomers. They made a decent sandwich though, but if you weren't gonna sit there and drink, I liked the music personally. I grew up listening to it, but I always felt a little out of place. And then they put a restaurant, they put a storefront in one of the lobbies of one of those buildings. And that's a cool place to get a sandwich. I get a sandwich there, and I like their torta milanesa. Another place that does a good torta milanesa is is Laurel Cafe. That again is out on Providence. So that's neither here nor there. We're here in Uptown, still going down Trade. There's the Grand Bohemian Hotel. That's a new hotel. They have a electronic party. Folks from all walks of life show up there. It reflects Charlotte's true sort of demographics, where it's a good mix. But anyway, I like the music. They played electronic music. You can have like a nice gin and tonic on a cool evening where it's like in the high 70s, hot, humid, tropical. You know, that good East Coast summer feel up on a rooftop. The only difference is you overlook a 19th century church garden, which has like has its own skeletons in the closet. I don't want to dwell on it too much. But then you also get these views of Uptown. And if you're willing to have just a surface deep experience, it's a great place to just relax, have a surface deep experience and vibe out. And the Grand Bohemian. I was there with my spouse, and the joke I made to her was, why did we go with Bohemian as the cool Central European group? Why don't we ever have any places called the Grand Bavarian? Supergeil! Yeah! That was my my German Tour de France sprinter impersonation. Marcel Kittel. I don't know what his name. That was my Marcel Kittel impersonation when he wins a sprint. Anyway, so we're coming up on Romare Bearden Park. That used to be a parking lot. If you go on Google Street View to this day, you can see when it was still a parking lot. Across the street is Tryon Street's newest skyscraper. Was built just before the pandemic. The name of the asset management company on the top is Barings. It's a cool walk. It was a parking lot, I think, at one point. They replaced the parking lot with some new buildings. And then also Romare Bearden Park was a parking lot, as was the Truist Stadium behind it. And by the time I moved to Charlotte, it had been completed. Romare Bearden was a famous artist, and I think he somehow was either involved with like social work or the city government in the city of New York in the 1960s and 1970s. He grew up in Charlotte. He grew up in not quite a shotgun shack, just down the road on Graham Street. There's a picture of his house in one of the museums. I've seen it, I think, or I've seen one like it anyway. He was a famous artist, and he really did a good job explaining sort of what the impoverished Southern mill worker lifestyle felt like, and all of the emotional contemplation that goes along with it. I'm not doing it justice in this little voiceover, but they named a park after him. He's part of Charlotte culture, and we're very proud of it. And here's a little lawn here. I'd love to come here and play croquet sometime, and I need to bring the kiddos here and play some croquet on this lawn, on this bowling green, and get some looks at some crazy folks. This is the only place where I had to come up with a street name for my kiddo, because it was in 2021 it was so overrun with homeless people, because it just was 2021, that I didn't want to tell them the real name. I was like, so my kid has a street name because of Romare Bearden Park. If you look dead ahead of you, those are the two abandoned towers, the old First Union campus. For lease. I think Childress Klein is the property manager there. But there's still a lot of new stuff going in. Where those buildings are on College Street is just a reflection of transit patterns in the late 20th century. Whatever the case, I enjoyed the walk, and hopefully the next one is not a 3-star walk. Check you later.